Welcome back to Fantastic Forests. This video will be looking at deciduous versus coniferous trees with Miss Liberty. Now, I'm sure you have all seen a tree before, but what you might not know is that trees can be divided into two main groups. There are our deciduous trees and our coniferous trees. So throughout this video, we're going to take a little bit of a closer look at what makes these trees different. And in following videos, we'll look closer at the different trees in each category. Now we are going to start by looking at deciduous trees. Now, deciduous trees are usually located in deciduous forests, which are usually in parts of Europe and North America, typically where they have temperate climates and where seasons have quite a lot of changes throughout the year. Now, a deciduous tree will look something like this, and we can characterize them by certain characteristics, such as they lose their leaves in the winter. They grow fruit. Now, this can be all sorts of things depending on the tree. Some grow apples. An apple tree is a deciduous tree. Or, for instance, an acorn. Both of them are fruits that would grow on a deciduous tree. They have leaves that are probably what you would imagine in your head when you think of a leaf. The kind of flat shape. They come in all different shapes and sizes, but they're usually very flat and a lot bigger than you would find on a coniferous tree. And also we see big changes on these trees throughout the seasons. These are the trees that when we go outside in the winter, they won't have any leaves. In the spring, they usually have all their new shoots. They have all the blossoms. In the summer, they're covered in fruit. And of course, in the autumn, they're what give us all of our lovely colours when we go outside and we see the yellow and orange and red trees. Those are all deciduous trees. Now that we know a little bit more about deciduous trees, we're going to have a look at coniferous trees. So here is a rough picture of what a coniferous tree will look like. You can see it's a little bit different from the deciduous tree we were looking at earlier. They're usually a lot fuller, meaning they have leaves and branches along almost all of the tree instead of just towards the top, like a lot of deciduous trees. But also, again, there's certain characteristics, certain clues that help us know if it's a coniferous tree or a deciduous tree. So we're going to have a look at some of those. Now, coniferous trees can also be known as evergreens. You may have heard this word before. A lot of people call these trees evergreens instead of coniferous trees. Now, evergreens are technically a subcategory of coniferous trees. However, almost all coniferous trees are evergreens. And like the name says, they are evergreen. So these trees have a difference from our deciduous trees that we looked at just before, that they are always green. They don't lose their leaves in the winter and they don't change color in the autumn. So especially at those times of year, if we go outside in the fall or winter, it is very, very easy to identify these trees because when we look around us, they're one of the few things left that is still green. So, like I was saying, there's little change throughout the year in these trees. If you find a coniferous tree in the middle of summer or in the middle of winter, they will look almost the same. Of course, there's fruit grows at different times of the year, but there's very little change throughout the year with our evergreens. And instead of growing fruit, coniferous trees have the ability of growing cone-like fruit instead. So what they grow, they still grow a kind of fruit, but it just looks different, that you can categorize a little bit differently. So in the following videos, we'll be having a look at some of the smaller details on both our deciduous and coniferous trees to see how we can really identify these trees, and we'll be able to see what these cones look like see if they look the same on all coniferous trees, and also some of the differences we can find within the deciduous and coniferous tree categories. That's it for today. So if you enjoyed our lesson on deciduous versus coniferous trees, I recommend that you subscribe to my channel so you can follow the rest of the Fantastic Forest series. In the next few videos, we will be looking at coniferous trees and deciduous trees closer up and looking at some of the details on these trees and how we can identify different trees in those categories. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, please check out the next videos. And if you learned something today, please leave a thumbs up so we can see how many people are learning from these wonderful nature videos. Till next time.